This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 9 minutes and holding, standing by for a release of the hold based on the ship getting out of the launch danger area where the SRBs come down. This is about 150 miles off of the Kennedy Space Center. Also continuing to assess the weather and the optimum time to pick up the count and try and launch this morning. The window for this morning's launch extends from 6:55 a.m. To 7:49 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And during this particular point in the countdown at T-minus 9, we are able to hold throughout that entire period. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 9 minutes and holding. We have just had word from Launch Director Bob Seek that we have go as far as the weather is concerned. We are just about to reset the clock and pick up the countdown at the 9-minute point. We will be counting down to 5 minutes and holding there to allow the ship to clear the area. The clock resuming, 2-1 mark, T-minus 9 minutes and counting. Prior to coming out of this hold, we had a status check and were assured that with the exception of the range safety officer, everybody was ready to go. The crew sounded particularly enthusiastic. At this point, the launch events are now being controlled by the ground launch sequencer, and a cheer going up here in the firing room as the range safety officer says, "You have a final go to launch from range safety." The launch events being controlled now by the ground launch sequencer up until the 25-second point when they switch to the onboard redundant set launch sequencer. The GLS is part of the launch processing system and operates by relaying commands from to the orbiter's onboard computers, which then report back that they have been executed successfully. The primary job of the onboard computers is to check that all of the launch commit criteria, such as propellant loads, temperatures, pressures, and other measurements, are normal. 7 seconds away from moving the swing arm that is used by the astronauts for reaching the orbiter, T-minus 7 minutes, 28 seconds, and we have a go for retract of the crew access arm, and that is swinging back away from Discovery. If emergency should arise, that can be placed back into position within 15 seconds. Houston is presently sending a final update to the onboard computers for antenna management. This tells the antennas which way to look to find the TDRS satellite and also the ground tracking stations. The AC electrical bus sensors have been placed in monitor by pilot Dick Covey. T-minus 6 minutes, 45 seconds, and counting. T-minus 6 minutes, 30 seconds, and counting.
10:09. DOTC. Go ahead.
Pilot Dick Covey asked to perform the auxiliary power unit pre-start. This consists of positioning a number of switches and verifying they are in the proper position, then throwing the 3 propellant isolation valve switches, which allow the hydrazine fuel to start flowing from the tanks towards the APUs. T-minus 6 minutes and counting. And pilot Dick Covey reporting the APUs are now configured for startup.
Flight OTC. Flight OTC. OTC is used flight.
T-minus 5 minutes, 40 seconds and counting.
1500 mark.
In 5 seconds, the flight recorders will be turned on. These provide measurement of the shuttle system performance during the entire mission. The 5-minute point will have a go for APU start. Coming up on the 5-minute point, T-minus 5 minutes and counting, and we have a go for orbiter APU start.
Roger, APU start at work.
I'll report back, APU start is in work. T-minus 4 minutes, 45 seconds and counting. The oxygen fill and drain valve has been closed, topping of the tank complete, and oxygen drain back has started. This means that liquid oxygen is flowing through the main propulsion system and back to the large storage tank. We've had a report from the pilot that APU start is complete and 3 APUs are up and running.
And OTC, CDR heaters are reconfigured.
Coming up on the 4-minute point in our countdown, the main fuel valve heaters have been turned on or turned off by Commander Joe Engel. T-minus 4 minutes and counting.
Flight crew close visors.
The astronaut crew has closed the visors on their launch and entry helmets, and the final helium purge of the orbiter's main engines has started.
Trying to help you.
Commander Joe Engel saying that they're ready to get out of Dodge. T-minus 3 minutes, 30 seconds and counting. Shuttle now on internal power.
MTDSP, go. Okay, the engine valves that go at 4 minutes. Copy, thank you.
A check of the engine valves reveals that they are go. A profile check of the aerosurfaces is now complete and verified, and the aerosurfaces in launch position. T-minus 3 minutes and counting. The liquid oxygen valve for filling the external tank is closed and pressurization has begun. T-minus 2 minutes, 50 seconds. The gaseous oxygen vent arm being retracted at this point.
UTC, clear caution and warning. Roger, in work.
T-minus 2 minutes, 25 seconds and counting. Gaseous oxygen vent arm lifting nicely. And the caution and memory warning has been cleared. Coming up on the 2-minute point in our countdown. T-minus 2 minutes and counting. The liquid oxygen vent valve now has been closed and flight pressurization is underway. T-minus 1 minute, 45 seconds and counting. And the computer will automatically verify the readiness of the main engines at the T-minus 1 minute point. "90 seconds away from liftoff of 51I. T-minus 1 minute, 15 seconds, and the liquid hydrogen tank is at flight pressure. Coming up on the 1 minute point in our countdown, T-minus 1 minute. The firing system for the sound suppression water system is armed. And the hydrogen igniters under the orbiter's engines have been armed. These devices ensure that any free hydrogen will not build up to cause a small explosion at engine ignition. T-minus 40 seconds and counting. Coming up on the 31-second point, and we have a go for auto sequence start. And we have auto sequence start with the sequencer on the orbiter now controlling the final seconds up to launch. T-minus 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. We have a go for main engine start. And we have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff. Liftoff of A-51I and the commercial deploy and repair mission. It has cleared the tower.
Roger, roll, Discovery.
Roll program initiated. Houston now controlling.
Call is correct.
Roger that. Beginning throttle down now to 65%. 3 engines throttling down now to 65%. Altitude 3 nautical miles. 3 engines in the throttle down condition to manage the maximum aerodynamic pressure as the spacecraft approaches max Q at 743 pounds per square foot. Three engines now running at 104%, giving a go at the throttle up. 1 minute, 20 seconds, velocity 3,200 feet per second, altitude 11 nautical miles, downrange distance 7 nautical miles. 3 APUs running normally, 3 good fuel cells operating. 1 minute, 40 seconds, velocity 4,400 feet per second. Altitude 18 nautical miles, downrange distance 16 nautical miles. Standing by for solid rocket booster separation. Separation confirmed, velocity 5,400 feet per second. Altitude 27 nautical miles, guidance converging as programmed. Two minutes, 25 seconds, velocity 5,700 feet per second, altitude 32 nautical miles.
Discovery Houston, first stage performance nominal. First stage nominal, very good.
That call up from Capcom Mike Coates to the commander Joe Engel indicates the first stage performance is nominal. Velocity 6,200 feet per second, altitude 38 nautical miles, downrange distance 56 nautical miles, 2 minutes 50 seconds. 3 engines still at 104%. 3 auxiliary power units functioning normally, 3 good fuel cells. 3 minutes 10 seconds, velocity 6,800 feet per second. Altitude 44 nautical miles, return status and mission control.
Based on the ship getting out of the launch danger area where the SRBs come down. This is about 150 miles off of the Kennedy Space. The window for this morning's launch extends from 6:55 a.m. To 7:49 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And during this particular point in the countdown at T-minus 9, This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 9 minutes and holding, standing by for a release of the hold. We are able to hold throughout that entire period. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 9 minutes and holding center. Also continuing to assess the weather and the optimum time to pick up the count and try and launch this morning. The